So, all right. So, what I kind of wanted to talk to you all about today is, obviously, you guys are musicians, right? And you've been studying your instruments since what, 6th grade? Okay. And so you've been studying, you know, the fundamentals of making tone and sound on your instruments. You probably, hopefully, know some of your scales, all that kind of stuff, right? So, we okay? All right.
What's the matter, Ricky?
All right. So you know, you've been studying the fundamentals of your instrument. You've been studying scales. You know how to read music. Okay. So those are the things that you know. So what is the difference here? So between, let's say, wind ensemble and jazz band. So obviously it's style, right? And it's not just style, but it's also attitude. Style kind of is an attitude in some ways, right? The analogy that I always use is, y'all know how to speak English, right? Notice how I said y'all? Okay. People who are born in London know how to speak English also. So you're born in, let's say you're born in Troy, Texas, and you're born in London, England. You both speak the same language. You could have a conversation with each other, but you sound it, right? So what are those differences? And that's what you're trying to figure out here, okay? That's what I'm gonna try and help you with this today. So for me, jazz is definitely an attitude. It's a swagger, it's a confidence, you know. And how do you communicate that to the audience, right? Well, anybody have any ideas, like how do you communicate confidence and swagger and energy? Energy is another word I probably said 50 times on the recording. How do you communicate those kind of things to the listener? What are some musical things that you can do to create energy?
Like, make it louder or more lyrical.
Lyrical meaning, what do you mean by lyrical?
Like, it's got, how do you explain?
Yeah, isn't it? It's kind of like trying to explain to someone how to walk or how to speak. Just do it, right? It should be kind of a natural thing. Well, it's not always natural. So, yeah, so he mentioned play louder. Now, energy definitely can come from forte, fortissimo, all that, but you can also create a lot of energy at pianissimo if you do it right. You know, it's not easy, but it's a little tougher to do, but you can definitely create a lot of energy that way. So, yes, dynamic range is huge, and I heard some dynamic range from you guys. I heard some crescendos. What I always tell everybody is, I want to hear you overdo it. I'd rather hear you overdo like a and the end of it be completely, totally ugly and disgusting and out of tune. And then we can work with that. Like we can take that and make that prettier, but you have to have that mindset that it's okay to try to do that in the first place. And if you frack the end of the note, okay, cool, like let's do it again and like just see what we need, make sure that we're not losing our embouchure or whatever it takes to play your instrument. So we're gonna kind of work on some dynamic ideas. Articulation is another way to create a lot of energy. So we've got, like, let's say we got the two extremes. We have legato, or let's say we have slurred, and staccato. Which one has more energy?
It's a legato.
Anybody agree with who? Anybody else? Who do you think? What do you think? You think staccato? Do you think if I go, which one has more energy? I'm sorry?
I feel like staccato.
Yeah, most people will say staccato. So now when you're playing jazz though, you don't want to articulate every note. So if I was gonna take that scale and swing it, I'm gonna articulate dee da 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 da. I'm actually tonguing upbeats and slurring into downbeats. Kind of a weird thing, but a great way to practice that, and this is, I'm sorry, I know I'm in horn land over here for a second, but you all know, you guys ever practice Clark studies? You know that pattern?
Yes.
Take that and swing it. So it sounds totally different when you do that. I just said something, but I said it with a British accent. Follow me? It's the same thing. I said the same thing that you just said, but I just sound different when I do it, and you have to practice that difference, okay? So that's like, take something that you know how to play that you're familiar with, like it's just a scale or a Clark study, and apply the new style to it. It's a great way, okay. All right, so let me think back here. Unfortunately, we do not have scores up there, so I'm having to kind of go on recollection. Absolute zero was the first thing you guys played, right?
Correct.
All right. So the thing that I recall is, to be honest with you, I was pretty bored. Why do you think I was bored by it? It kind of goes along with what I was just talking about.
Kind of slow.
No. No tempo, slow tempo.
More dynamics.
Right, it lacked a lot of dynamic range, in my opinion. And not just from the horn section, but mainly from the rhythm section. You guys kind of just did the same thing the whole time. And it didn't really, and the rhythm section's job is to reinforce what the band is doing. You're there to support them and, in fact, encourage them to play with more dynamic range. But they're going to do whatever you do. And I'm pointing at you. What was your name again? Miguel, right. You have a huge responsibility. I mean, you really do. You have to take that seriously. You have a lot of control over what they do, good or bad. So if you're sitting there and you're not, and you're going, versus, which one has more energy? The first way I was kind of singing, or the second way? Yeah. But if you're playing lazily or with lacking in energy, they're going to play like that too. Or they might try to play with energy, but it's not going to feel right to them. They're going to feel like they're pulling you along. You're supposed to be kicking them behind, okay? You're the one, you're driving the Mack truck. You know, you're the one in the driver's seat. You have a huge job to do. So, yeah, like play more dynamically, okay? So I'm looking at the score now, and I see that I want to run some of it, all right? So like the top, it's just rhythm section, right? Right. Let me just hear the rhythm section right there, okay? So you guys have these hits on the and two, right? 1, 2, and. All right, everybody hits that? Well, think about those hits every time you play, all right? Y'all ready? You got it. Everything goes. Hey, man, you want to stand up? Oh, you don't have a strap, sorry. Yeah. I wish I could. Here we go. 1, 2, smash the piano. So, okay, you're right. Okay, I'm sorry. Forgot to do that. 1, 2,
23.
Yeah. Yes, okay, I'm sorry, right there. So that line you guys play, everybody has that, right? In 22, right? So. Hear how I'm playing that? I'm not going. Like, you see those accents? Like, overdo them right now. When you're doing it right, it's going to feel like completely unmusical. But I promise you, it'll be better. He'll like it more, okay? So here we go. Everybody, let's do 22 with rhythm section. 1, 2, 1, 2, there you go. 1. All right, let's do it again. 1, 2, a little slower. 1, 2, Let me just go to the bones and tuba. 1, 2, 3, go, and 1. Yeah, okay. So obviously you got to get the notes under your slide, or I'd say under your fingers, but you got to make sure you've got it's pretty weird intervals, right? Kind of jumpy, but and make sure you got that going and play with confidence. Which notes in that line are the most important notes? You see, there's a pattern to it. How do you know a note's more important than another note?
Accents.
Right. Where are the accents?
Downbeats.
On downbeats. So really, all we want to hear, all you want to think is 1. Uh-oh. That's basically the line. Can we just play that? So take out the upbeats. Just play those downbeats. Okay, just trombones for now. Sorry, the trumpets will get to you here. 1, and no rhythm section. 1, 2, ready, go. Yeah, and I know it doesn't say to sforzando that note. You know what I mean by sforzando? But that'll create more energy. Okay. In jazz, we do a lot of things that aren't on the page. Okay, that's kind of where the jazz lies. It's kind of, yeah. Are you familiar, if I say, like something is an oral tradition, you know what I mean by that? Like storytelling, like it's passed down, like you hear a story from your grandpa and you heard it from his grandpa, and on and on and on. Well, jazz is passed down that way too. There's a lot of it that's not written down. You have to just kind of know. And that's why you're here and why I'm here right now. That's what I'm trying to pass along to you. So let's do that again. Let me hear the trumpets, just taking out the upbeats, right? Just focus on those da, 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 ba, ba. And I want to hear you guys hit that sforzando, right? Trumpets, 22. 1, 2, 1, 2, go. Okay, yeah, sorry. By yourselves. 1, again, I'm meaning, I'm not going to. 1, 2, ready, go. 1. Okay, so that'd be a great thing. That'd be a great way to work on that line. Just take out, simplify it, and make sure you can play those downbeats correctly, and then work on putting the notes in between them. One more time, trumpets. You all got your notes down? Sounds like we might miss them. So there's 2 trumpet parts, right? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1. Okay. Can you play it with more aggressiveness? Da, da, and they're not short necessarily.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, come on.
Don't be afraid. There you go. One more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, there you go. Okay. Did you hear the sforzando? Not to pick on you, but it sounded like you were the only one that didn't do it, right? And that's okay. But it's cool when we all do it. Let's just play that note, okay? Just me and the trumpets. That last note, or beat 2 of that last measure. 2, ready, go. One more time. 2, and go. Right. 2, 1, 2, go. And I know that we're working on one note. This is like we got a lot of more notes to get to, but that's what you do. You take one little thing and you isolate it and you just work on that one skill, and then you take that skill and you just move it around and you apply it to pretty much every chart you play. Okay. Okay, so let's hear everybody just play those downbeats with the rhythm section. Okay, and then we're gonna add the rest of the notes later. And I want to hear a really great sforzando on the downbeat at 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, there we go. 1. Okay, so what's the dynamic there? Fortissimo. Play. Don't be afraid. We need you. We need you. The horn players need you. 1, 2. 1, 2. Ready, go. 1. Okay. Let's do it. That's creating some energy. Would you agree? It's more. I feel more awake all of a sudden just listening to you play like that. Okay, so now let's put all the notes in. So, but don't lose sight of those downbeats. Okay, that's still basically that's the line, right? So don't get wrapped up in the notes in between so much. They're not as important. In fact, do you know how to make an accented note sound more accented? the notes right before the accented notes de-emphasize those notes, or what we call ghost them, okay? So I'm gonna play the notes in between. I'm gonna play all the notes right now. And you're gonna hear that I'm gonna go ding, 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 da. So the ding, ding, ding. There's another term I would always hear is swallowing it. Like, so it's like singers kind of do like da, da, da. So you're kind of like backing your air off between those notes. Sounds so different than same notes, same rhythm. Nothing wrong. It's not wrong, but it's also not right. Now that doesn't sound like that doesn't make any sense, but I think you know what I mean. All right, so maybe think about that. Do, ding, ding, da, and it's the whole thing is fortissimo. Yeah, so I guess we can start strong. Here we go, everybody. 22. 1, 2, 1 and 2. Ready, go. All right. Yes, more of that kind of thing. That's the jazz. Okay, jazz is not notes and rhythms. It's attitude and energy. Okay. How did I learn that? How did I learn what jazz is? How do you think I learned? Experience. Like, in what way?
Like, you played it a bunch.
No. Yeah, well, you're partially correct. That's not really how I learned it. How did you learn how to speak English? Yeah, did they teach you out of a book?
No, they just talked to me.
Right, you just heard people speaking English and you just started picking it up, right? That's how I learned jazz. So now, you guys live in an awesome era of YouTube and Spotify where you can pull your phone out and search on YouTube and find a Count Basie video from 1965 and sit there and watch it for 45 minutes, which I actually did the other day in a lesson with one of my students. You just need to know what to search for, right? So I will say you start with Count Basie. That's like learning how to add and subtract. Not that it's easy to play like them, it's actually very difficult, but like I learned by listening to the masters, right? And do it all the time, as often as I can. In fact, one of my teachers had a rule. He's like, if you practice 2 hours a day, I want you to listen 2 hours a day. If you practice 3.5 hours tomorrow, I want you to listen for 3.5 hours. And obviously, it gets to a point where we're like, well, there's only 24 hours a day, and I still have to go to class and write a paper and all this. But you know what I mean? Like, you have to listen. And it's not like putting it on in the background while you're driving or whatever. It's like listening. So for instance, drummer, like if you could find a recording of this chart, do you know if there's one that exists? Yeah.
Just the one.
Is it humans playing it, or is it like MIDI or?
Oh, it's actual people. They
Okay.
brought in a group to record it.
Like pros?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for instance, I would encourage you to find a recording of this chart and put it on and listen to nothing but the hi-hat the entire time. Don't listen to the horn players, don't listen to the kick drum, don't listen to anything else. Just listen to what the hi-hat sounds like. And maybe get your hi-hat out, don't get your kit out, don't even get sticks out. Well, yeah, you probably do for the hi-hat. And just sit there, like listen to it once, really carefully, and with intention. You know what I mean by intention? Like you're trying to learn something when you're listening to it. You're not just listening to it because it's cool. Yeah, one thing, not 5 things, one thing. And then maybe the second time you listen to it, try to play along and make your hi-hat sound like the hi-hat on the recording. Maybe, and only take like 4 bars, and just listen to 4 bars and just try to figure out how they did it. And if you don't know, ask someone, or how do I make a open splashy hi-hat sound? Go to YouTube and you'll find awesome instructions, I'm sure. And then the next time, listen to the kick drum the whole way through. What is the pattern? Is it what it says on the chart? Maybe. Does he maybe go away from that during the solo sections? Yeah, maybe. What are the patterns? And how does the kick drum sound? What is the sound coming from the kick drum? And how can I get that to sound like that? So that is how you guys achieve the style. Okay, it's different. You have to learn how to listen. Listening is a skill that you acquire. You can hear things, but are you actually listening to it? It's a totally different mindset. Okay. So that goes for all the horn players. Now, again, I tell the trombone player, hey, put it on and listen to the hi-hat. You know, what is the hi-hat doing? And or what is the guitar playing? Yeah, and then what are the trombones playing? Yeah, you know, and how are they doing those sforzando? Sure, you can listen to that, but don't just listen to your instrument. Listen around, because when you do that at home, you will do that on the bandstand. It'll make you a lot more aware of what other people are doing. Do you know what rehearsals are for, by the way? What's a rehearsal for? To learn your part? What are rehearsals for?
You hear the full band.
I was told, Todd, rehearsals are for you to learn other people's parts. Not literally on your instrument, but like, you already know your part. So you're taking your part and you're playing it and you're listening to how that relates to the other parts. Okay? So that's an acquired skill. You have to practice that. And so listening at home will make you more aware. If you listen like that at home, you will listen like that when you play a rehearsal and on stage. So, okay. So I think I could go on for hours with you guys. I wish we could play more today, but I really wanted to just kind of talk to you about how to learn what jazz is, like how to go about that. Okay, so use YouTube, and just remember the whole energetic thing. You need to you're trying to create a feeling, you're trying to create energy, okay? And your performance today, there was a lot of good things about it. The thing that I came away with, though, was that it just seemed to lack excitement and energy. And it's not because you guys only have like 8 horn players. Some bands I heard a band yesterday that had 4 horn players, and they actually sounded like 7. They actually sounded way bigger than I expected them to sound. And then there was another band that came that had 6 saxophones, and they sounded weaker than the band that only had 4 horn players. It was really weird. So it's so much about your attitude and your confidence level. So, okie doke. So, well, keep working at it, and I hope to hear more from you all in the future. All right? So keep working. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes? Well, sir. Yeah, thanks a lot.